So I want to take you on a journey through the mind of a villain. We will learn what makes them tick, how they act. We will cover everything from a villain within oneself, to obstacles of nature, to the broken, through the guided, to the pure evil, and to the units of destruction. So grab your pitchforks, put on your capes, and your thinking helmet as well, as we dwell into the minds of villains. I am the Warden, and welcome to Villain Psyche. Hello everyone, welcome to the Skydome control pad, or just Skydome for short. I have been fascinated by the minds of the multiverse, specifically the mind of what you call a villain or antagonist. They are always the obstacle your hero or protagonist is trying to overcome. The reason I'm so fascinated with these characters is because they have so much to offer. They have cool designs, crazy plans, or are just hurting inside. Each villain is a different response to an eternal pain. Both they and the hero have this internal pain, but it's how they choose to act upon it which makes them a hero or villain. Or so I thought. Not every universe is created equal, and neither are the villains. For a lot of pieces of fiction, we hear some phrase complimenting the villain. But I recently viewed a universe where I was left unsatisfied with a villain that was supposed to be a huge threat. I'm talking about Marvel's new big bad Kang, the Conqueror, specifically the one from Quantomania. For a general audience, we know really nothing about him. All we know is people fear him. We know he is strong and he's destroyed many timelines and can travel through time and space with relative ease as long as his tech works. Other than that, there's really nothing else to go off of him. He's a tyrant, but with a villain formula like that, it's just boring. There's no spice to his character other than he's a unit of destruction. Kang has taken over the quantum realm with relative ease, all in an effort just to assert dominance and build a new kingdom for himself that he still wants to leave. There really is no reason to do this other than he was bored and he could do it. Janet even says with his suit he is at his most powerful, so why wouldn't he take over the realm if he had nothing to do? The motivation is he was just bored. He could. There's no point to connect with him, good or bad. It's just bland. And finally, when he plans to get out, he just wants to liberate other timelines. But why? And that's what we really don't know. There's still no motivation, just utter destruction, before or after. This Kang is very ambiguous. We learn from another variant from Loki that a much humbler Kang told the story of a war between himself, and they just wanted to take over each other's timelines. As someone who can view this variant, I know a bit more about motivation, but that goes for every Kang in every variant, or the grand design if you will. But besides, that Kang from Quantumania has nothing going for him. He's just a threat, just going about causing destruction. Whether he be a better or for worse variant, it doesn't change the fact that he's bland and is shrouded in secrecy. To further press this point, we can talk about another villain that pretty much does the same thing as the Quantum Realm Kang, which was erasing timelines as if they never existed. That villain being General Dox from Loki. She does a very similar thing that Kang does, however she has an urge of sympathy to do so. She destroys them quickly and swiftly, Meanwhile, if we look at Kang's memory, he blasts them, and that looks awfully painful. The main difference here is the motivation. She wants to protect the sacred timeline, and to do that is erase the others. She wants things to return to the status quo. And both have been stated that once erased, it's like they've never existed. Being a branch anyway, it shouldn't have existed, according to her, so it not existing is still fine. A bit weird to wrap your head around, but she also isn't entirely wrong. Kang is a huge threat, and pruning timelines where he exists is a solid strategy to prevent his arrival, albeit very poor execution. Even Ouroboros says singling out the sacred timeline is the correct set of action, but he is working on it more strategically than Docs. This is all to save the status quo and prevent Kang from more again. To further prove this, she and her Minutemen would rather die to protect their honor and beliefs. We have solid motivation from both the bad guy and the good guys trying to achieve the same goal, but in different ways. Honestly, it's strange we have two villains, both who have had short screen times, and both with opposite problems, motivation and threat level. Kang being high threat but low motivation, and General Dox being low threat and high motivation. And weirdly enough, we both don't know much about both of them. Their character traits are still just destructive natures. Granted, time will tell for both characters to get more personality built, as Thanos was just a name and a villain until Infinity War, when we got to learn lots more about him and his motive, but that's a topic for another day. So this Kang variant is a bland superhero villain, only to stand as an obstacle for the hero, and is nothing more than a unit of destruction. We do know more about the ultimate design, but this variant is just a rock in the sand. Luckily, his other variants are providing much more depth to the character, even though they're all still separate. Timelines are weird to talk about, but how do you fix this problem? A few easy tweaks are all we need. The whole story is just filled with secrecy. Characters just don't speak about each other, and every time we get somewhere, they just cut away. It's only until the middle of the story where we learn real information about Kang, or really anything about anyone. So just spill the beans earlier, Janet. There's a whole mystery danger that could have been avoided if she just said, "Yo, the guy who built that ship will destroy us. He wants something we have and we can't let him catch us." That would give us, the audience, more danger for them as we know they are being targeted if they are caught. So when Lord Krylar turns traitor, it's much more impactful as he was about to turn them in, and their escape and backstory gives us more pieces to the puzzle. We know he is a threat who wants them, and then we would know why. So that way, when Scott and Cassie are captured, we know they are in some serious trouble, as they aren't just prisoners, but keys to destruction. It is also unclear if this Kang is good or bad when it comes to battling himself. Even if he lied when an added line of why he was exiled or why other variants of him were coming would give much more urgency to the situation, whether good or bad. It would make a much stronger impact in the long run, just like the first variant we met was scared of himself. It's unknown how this Kang is played, but it would be more impactful if he lied or told the truth instead of cutting off his own lore. Even in the end, when he does explain it, it's hard to figure out if he's battling for good or for bad, to kill himself across time to stop the war by being the winner. The fact is, he will do anything to get his way. As he even states, he doesn't care about wiping out timelines, but beating his variants. And at the end, there's still this underlying threat that worse is to come. And with the Council of Kangs, it seems as if they are teaming up as the main variant, as he called for all of them. But time will tell. There's too much hidden from us to really care or fear Kang, other than he is strong and wants to win at all costs. He is a bland unit of destruction, not an amazing villain to start things off with. He is unsatisfying to say the least. But it does lay the groundwork for bare-bone villain making. So next time, we'll talk about a good villain. But before we end, Novu, can you grab us a souvenir to remember this place? Thank you, Novu. Until next time, Mind Explorers.